Welcome to Muscles Unlimited, a resource for bodybuilding and fitness related information. And today I want to talk about metabolic health. You know, being a bodybuilder, having competed and won a number of championships, I feel that it's my duty and responsibility to set an example for others. And it's not about me anymore, it's about helping others achieve their goals. It's not where you are, it's how far you come from where you started. And I feel if nothing else that my achievements have given me the credibility so people have the confidence and whenever I convey information and teach them how to become a better version of themselves. And even though I may be biased from a bodybuilding perspective, but I don't consider that I teach bodybuilding necessarily, but bodybuilding. In other words, that can encompass anything. And in my opinion, anyone who engages in any kind of exercise for the purpose of improving their health and fitness, which usually contributes to building lean muscle mass and improving their metabolic health via nutrition and exercise, is a bodybuilder of sorts. And again, not being biased because I happen to come from that world, but the bodybuilding model happens to be the most effective modality, in my opinion, than any other on the planet when it comes to a person, doesn't matter from any walk of life, any fitness level, or any, regardless of their individual considerations or limitations in terms of optimizing their ceiling of metabolic health. And today, sadly, a lot of people are suffering from a lot of illnesses due to, poor nutrition, inactivity, and they just aren't really proactive in trying to improve their health and take accountability and responsibility on their own. Like the Bible says, physician, heal thyself. The power that made the body heals the body. But sadly, a lot of people vested all the responsibility in the hands of medical professionals. And sometimes, that's not the best advice because these people are very cautious and they've learned a different kind of a paradigm, which unfortunately has a lot to do with drugs and medication and management of healthcare, and not necessarily from a holistic standpoint in terms of helping correct the problem and not just mask the symptom. So sadly, too, a lot of us are, victims, in my opinion. And I just want to explain something in a way that I perceive it, that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. When it comes to health and fitness, they think in terms of, okay, I want to be healthy. I want to have a better quality of life. I want to live longer. I went to the doctor. They said I have my vital signs, my blood work is all over the place, and I need to make some improvements. Otherwise, I'm going to have problems. Well, those are very important reasons. But in addition, to motivate and encourage people even more so to be more conscious about their health is the fact that, a lot of what we eat and what we put into our bodies is something that we're kind of programmed to do. We, I think, tend to forget, we kind of lost our sense of reality. But 100 years ago, things that we take for granted today that we consider the new normal, it didn't even exist. I mean, people were a lot healthier. Everything they ate was off their farm or grew in their orchard or on their land. Nowadays, there's a fast food restaurant on every street corner, and people, that's their new normal. It's like, if I'm sitting eating a healthy meal, people look at me like I'm from another planet. Like, what? Now if I'm sitting there eating a plate of nachos, and a pizza, they don't blink an eye. But they see me eating healthy, they lose their mind. And it's really sad that the new normal has become basically eating poison. And the way I look at it is that the food and drug companies are highly responsible for that because they're in it for the profit. And the way they market a lot of these foods is to make them highly addictive with a lot of carbs, of course, cheap, because that way they're more profitable. And people are basically addicted to sugar, So then you got to ask yourself, am I a victim? Am I a slave? In my opinion, it's a form of bondage. So you have to look at it from the standpoint, am I going to be a slave and a victim, or am I going to take some responsibility and change my life? In other words, in my opinion, people should stand up, realize that, and say, I'm the master of my body. I want to control and dictate what I put into my body, and not let someone else do that. That's taken what I put in my body and they've tampered with it. They've modified it. They've added to it. It's adulterated. It's contaminated. It's got chemicals and preservatives and pesticides and God knows what else that are not good for me. And so what happens, in my opinion, and I know it sounds a little extreme, but I'm just not going to allow anything or anyone to keep me in bondage from cradle to grave. So from that standpoint, in addition to all the other benefits, health benefits of resistance training and healthy nutrition, exercise, and so on, I think we need to take that into consideration.